Thank you, Dr. Carson. I'd also like to recognize several of our special guests tonight. Dr. Mark Calabria, Director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. Thank you, Mark. Brian Montgomery, FHA Commissioner and Acting Deputy Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands. And Sheila Salmon, the granddaughter of Carl A.S. Cohen Sr., for whom our Lifetime Achievement Award is named. Thank you for joining us, Sheila. I'd also like to thank our Board of Governors, especially our Gala co-chairs, Ted Chandler and Angie Garcia-Lathrop, and the other members of the Gala Committee who worked so hard on this. Thank you for all of your service and your commitment to affordable housing for all. And I'd like to really express my deepest gratitude for all of our sponsors, particularly our presenting sponsor, Wells Fargo, our select sponsor, JP Morgan Chase, our VIP reception sponsor, Bank of America, and the California Ballot Initiative team, who have sponsored a delicious dessert reception following dinner. And you can always count on the Californians to bring dessert. Before you leave, please spend some time catching up with your colleagues over dessert and coffee or tea. And thank you as well to all of our table sponsors and other generous donors. Your support throughout the year allows us to defend our American home and to leverage the work of all of our members in the vital commitment that they pursue every day. Also, please join me in thanking all of them for their generous and ongoing support for the National Housing Conference. Of course, we would not be here but for the work of our tireless staff. Well, maybe not tireless, not right now, but would the NHC staff please stand so we can all express our gratitude for the incredibly hard work that you've done. 3 events in 2 days. Amanda Mitchell, Tristan Bro, Antoinette Sykes, Andrea Nesby, Quinn Mulholland, Nathan Park, and Lydia McInerney. Thank you all so much. You really make it a joy to come to work. I hope you feel the same way. But if you don't, it's okay. 85 years ago this summer, the First Lady of the United States of America, Eleanor Roosevelt, joined us at our inaugural policy conference at the Willard Hotel, just a few blocks from here. The following day, a delegation from NHC would meet with her and the President to discuss housing priorities. It was a standard of achievement we have never surpassed, not yet anyway. Maybe Dr. Carson can help me with that. At our inaugural policy conference, she called upon us to build public-private partnerships to clear away dangerous housing units, many of which had no running water or electricity, and build quality, affordable housing in its place. Government could not do everything, she said, and the private sector must help the housing crisis. She was joined by Interior Secretary Harold Ickes, the father of the New Deal, who declared, "We must have attractive, low-cost housing for the poor, most of whom lived in tenements and shotgun shacks without electricity or running water. And for those in the growing working poor," he said, "we must also provide homes, quote, adapted to their desires and to their ability to pay." The year before they had succeeded in including nearly $2 billion adjusted for inflation for housing construction as part of the National Industrial Recovery Act, America's first modern infrastructure legislation. But they were not satisfied, not by a long shot. In the next 3 years, we would work together to lay the foundation of the modern housing finance system and build tens of thousands of units of public housing as well. We are their heirs, and like them, we share their sense of duty and their frustration over a job incomplete. and their passion to finish it. Because 10 years after the cataclysm known as the Great Recession, far too many people are worse off than they were 20 years ago. Only a few statistics tell the entire story. The black homeownership rate. It is lower today than it was in 1968 when segregation was legal. 1 in 5 millennials live at home with their parents, despite the best job market for their age cohort since the Korean War, when 10% of them were in Korea. And half of America's renters are rent burdened, more than twice as many as 50 years ago. Our new housing crisis is supply driven. We simply don't build enough affordable homes. In the 3 years following the beginning of the Great Recession, we experienced an 80% drop in single-family housing production alone. 80%. And each year since, we have failed to come close to our housing production needs. More than 7 million homes never built in the 10 years since 2009. We also have a shortage of another 7 million units of affordable rental housing. And each year, we fall another 250,000 to 400,000 units behind. Housing is a continuum. The fewer homeowners, the more renters. And the more renters, the more rents rise. Everybody loses when we fail to work together. But when we address our housing shortage holistically, we can all win. This evening, we celebrate the work of bold visionaries in housing, but also of big achievers. They refused to play by the rules and wrote new ones instead. They refused to accept obstacles in their path, building bridges to cross them, and they made a difference. The women and men in this room are our nation's best and brightest in every aspect of affordable housing. We have the knowledge, the experience, and political skills necessary to solve America's housing crisis. What will we do? Will we play by the rules, or are we going to write new ones? Will we accept the obstacles in our path, or build bridges to others in our often unlikely coalition, and more importantly, beyond it? Will we make a difference? When we leave here, we will begin the hard work of creating a holistic national housing policy for the 21st century, a National Housing Act, with the aim of having that legislation introduced in the 117th Congress as H.R. 1, with bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate, and whomever is in the White House, H.R. 1 in 2021. That is our goal. That is what will be our legacy when it is signed into law. This summer, we're going to begin to meet and sketch out a framework of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change the world we live in for the better. This fall, we will build our case and refine our policies, and next year, we will build support for comprehensive housing and community development reform in every election, in every state in this country. I believe we can succeed on this work if we do it together. But I know that regardless of what we do, 1 year from tonight, more of our fellow Americans will struggle to pay their rent, or own a home, or will climb out of a parked car or tent and go to work. Tonight, we recognize men and women who rewrote the rules, who managed the risks and bet big on a vision for their communities and their country. And if we do the same, we will succeed in our mission to create an America where everyone has an equal opportunity to live in an affordable home in a thriving community. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you my friend and colleague and mentor and chairman of our board. Please join me in welcoming Linda Bandolini.